Hamir just gets home and does he rest? Nope, not even a sip of water. He heads straight to the Queen's palace to greet his mom. For Hamir, that's like basic son duties 101. The moment the Queen sees her precious golden boy enter the room, her face lights up like a fireworks show. She beams and immediately asks about his trip. How was it? How's he feeling? Yada yada. But Hamir, being the walking lie detector that he is, notices something fishy right away. His mom? She's glammed up. Fresh makeup, fancy perfume. The whole room even looks more dressed up than usual. Suspicious. Like she's trying to hide something. He squints, side-eyes the decor, and then wordlessly glides over to the tea table. The Queen blinks, surprised. Hamir pulls out a chair like a drama prince and flashes his best innocent smile, saying, "I'm just here to try the tea. You know, recover from my exhausting trip." He sips like a connoisseur. The Queen? She goes red, totally flustered. So they start chatting, catching up, all normal. Until bam, the Queen whips out her favorite activity, gossiping about Aristine. She paints Aristine like the villain of the century, telling the story from her own spicy POV, with dramatic flair and lots of salt. Hamir just smiles and listens. At first, he assumes his mom's just being petty because Aristine married Tarkin, but the more she rants, the more unfiltered and emotional she gets, Hamir starts thinking, there's more to this. With that calm, smooth voice of his, he gently asks, "What's really bothering you, Mother?" The Queen's lip quivers with frustration. She finally reveals the root of her meltdown. Lately, Tarkin's been trending, and it's not helping her political plans. She signals to a servant, and she comes in carrying a box like it's royal treasure. Inside? A fancy scalpel set. These, the Queen says dramatically, are what she launched recently. And now people are calling them Blades of Heaven. Can you believe that? Hamir peers inside, inspecting the scalpels. A medical business? He wonders. Risky. Then he spots a card tucked inside the box. The Queen explains that it's some legal agreement. The responsibility falls on doctors if they misuse the scalpels, not the manufacturer. That's what's really grinding her gears. Hamir reads it and raises a brow. Okay, but that's still kinda unfair, right? Products can be faulty. Why put all the blame on the user? Flip it, she snaps. He flips it, and his eyes go wide. It's signed by none other than Dr. Umir, aka the top surgeon in Irugo. That signature means full credibility. No one's gonna question it now. And suddenly, Hamir fully gets it. His mom's plans to sabotage this? Toast. So now they're stuck. They can't even pull a malpractice scandal. The Queen grumbles that the only hope left is to wait for some big medical accident to shift public opinion. Oh, and don't even get her started on the steel. Apparently, Aristine found some magical no-rust steel. The Queen's fuming. She didn't even go to school. That must be pure dumb luck. But Hamir, still sipping tea, starts thinking. If she really got this result, that means she's probably been running test after test after test. She's not doing this for show. She's doing real work. This isn't political. It's personal. Like a real merchant. He starts smiling to himself. The Queen sees it and looks confused. Hamir leans in, his eyes gleaming like a fox. There is an easier way to destroy her business, and the key is the steel. The Queen squints. But we already tried replicating it. Yeah, don't, Hamir says with a smirk. No need. Remember, you own the biggest iron mine in Irugo. Ding, ding, ding. The Queen's jaw drops. Wait, you're right. I can just cut off her supply. Exactly. No raw materials means no production means bye-bye business. The Queen practically vibrates with excitement. She's already planning Aristine's downfall in her head, and she's never looked more alive. Seeing her all fired up again makes Hamir genuinely happy. To her, Hamir truly is the only one worthy of inheriting the crown. And now that he's back, she's ready to begin their glorious counterattack. So, turns out that date Tarkin and Aristine went on yesterday? The one where they were supposed to check the market and attend the opening of Aristine's scalpel store? Yeah, that thing? About to be all over the front page. Journalists are already prepping headlines and spicy captions, just waiting for the couple's green light to publish. Jack can't help but bring it up, grinning ear to ear. So, how was that fantastic date of yours? He sing-songs. Aristine? Not having it. It wasn't a date. It was work. She shuts him down. Deadpan. While she's busy explaining that there's nothing romantic going on, Aristine's mind starts wandering. She knows the more they look like a perfect couple, the stronger their political influence becomes. But then she glances at Tarkin and gets hit with surprise. Dude doesn't even flinch. He casually approves the article for publication like it's a grocery list. Excuse me? Who are you and what have you done with the emotionally constipated war prince? Aristine blinks. You're okay with this? Tarkin nods like it's no biggie. Didn't you say it's important we look like a happy couple? Oop. That's her own words coming back to bite her. But then she squints at him. Then why did you look like a shy tomato when Zodiac plastered our faces on those promo posters? Tarkin's face instantly red again. He's blushing like a schoolboy caught texting his crush. But of course, he denies everything. Jack, meanwhile, is absolutely beaming. Aw, you two are totally getting closer. Both Tarkin and Aristine snap their heads at him with matching sharp gazes. We were working. Okay, fine. Work. Whatever you say, lovebirds. A little while later, in the palace garden, it's a lovely day. Sunshine, soft breeze, the perfect setup for a romantic walk, or in Aristine's case, a much-needed chill moment. She finally feels relaxed after forever being in Dramaville. She looks up and spots a cloud shaped like a cat, which immediately makes her think of Zodiac, the eccentric cat-loving rep of Pink Kitty Paws. He's kind of a workaholic, kind of a weirdo, and absolutely obsessed with cats. When Zodiac first used her and Tarkin's photo for marketing the scalpels, Aristine was honestly like, bro, what? But then she got the royalty check, and let's just say the number of zeros changed her perspective real quick. Bless that strange, money-making cat man. But even with all that calm in the air, there's still one thing on her mind. Hamir. According to her info from Jack, the Queen urgently summoned Hamir. And if that isn't a red flag, I don't know what is. Hamir, the royal firstborn, pampered endlessly by Queen Mama. Aristine remembers asking Tarkin what kind of person Hamir is. He said Hamir was smart and capable, sure. But when Aristine asked as his half-brother, Tarkin's tone changed. Back then, Tarkin told her the truth. Ever since he got kicked out of the palace as a kid, he barely saw Hamir. But what little he remembered? That guy was a wimpy crybaby. Not even worth your attention, oof. Brutal. Still, Aristine reads through the intelligence report anyway. Nibbling on her cookie, of course. Tarkin says Hamir's not worth worrying about, but he sure ran straight to see the king the moment Hamir arrived. That doesn't scream unbothered. Hamir might not be a war hero like Tarkin, but he's got game. He's a sharp diplomat with a mind for business, and he's been gathering power from the Queen's inner circle. His signature platinum blonde hair? Super famous in the palace. Aristine rolls her eyes, remembering how the Queen wouldn't shut up about him. Just as she's about to flip to the next page, the one with Prince Hamir's photo. Bam! Chaos. Before she can even see what Hamir looks like, a bird swoops down and snatches her cookie. And as if that's not enough, its flapping wings scatter her papers everywhere. One of her maids rushes over. Princess, are you all right? We'll get everything. But Aristine freezes. This moment, it feels oddly familiar. She narrows her eyes, trying to recall something. Then it hits her. Her monarch's sight. The vision she saw in her glass of water while strolling around with Tarkin. In the vision, she saw a bird pooping straight onto someone lying in the grass. A guy with platinum blonde hair. Oh no. She scans the area, walks through the garden, and yep, there he is, lying peacefully on the grass. Platinum, blonde, hair, Still clean. For now. Aristine looks up, and there it is. The same bird from her vision. Up in the sky, locked and loaded, ready to drop its nasty little present. No, 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 no. Aristine bolts. She sprints across the grass like a woman possessed, throwing herself forward, and in one dramatic leap, she lands right on top of the man. They both go down. She's panting, eyes wide, face totally in panic mode. I'm sorry. That platinum blonde man is none other than Hamir, completely stunned that a woman just tackled him out of nowhere. His eyes widen the moment he realizes it's Aristine on top of him. Yep, definitely didn't see that coming. Well, mister, you just got saved from a head full of bird poop. You're welcome. Right when things start to settle down, Yenneca appears, calling out her brother's name. She looks around the garden but doesn't spot Hamir anywhere near his usual lounging spot. Turns out, Hamir has already pulled Aristine into the bushes with lightning speed. He puts a finger to his lips, silently asking her to keep quiet. Aristine, confused and still catching her breath, is about to speak, but Hamir, wearing a calm, cheeky smile, gently signals her to stay silent. Today, he says, is his day to slack off. And since Aristine technically saved him, he's willing to share his secret hideout with her. The word savior throws her off, but Hamir casually explains that she saved him from the horror of bird poop disaster. Even though Aristine thinks it's a stretch to call her a savior, Hamir insists. It could have ruined his entire day if it landed right on his hair, and since only Aristine witnessed the danger, she knows just how bad it could have been. With his usual charming energy, Hamir casually compliments Aristine, saying she looks even more beautiful than her photos. Aristine, caught off guard, awkwardly compliments him back. Hamir then suddenly bursts into laughter, rolling slightly in the grass, clearly amused by her reaction. Aristine watches him, unsure whether to be concerned or entertained, but she feels relieved. At least Yenneca didn't see her here. That would have been a total mess, considering how eager Yenneca always is to point fingers. Imagine the drama if she saw Aristine, married no less, hiding in the bushes with some platinum blonde guy. That thought alone makes Aristine stiffen. Platinum blonde hair. Meanwhile, Hamir, completely unaware of her sudden shift in energy, keeps talking like nothing's wrong. He rambles on about how Aristine looked like an angel falling from the sky when he first saw her. But Aristine, still trying to make sense of the situation, blurts out a hesitant question, asking if he's Prince Hamir. Hamir looks momentarily thrown off, just a flicker. Aristine, now sweating nervously, starts to feel regret creeping in. She had never seen Hamir in person before, not even a portrait. She acted purely on what she saw in her monarch's vision, and now here she is, tangled up in bushes with a stranger. This was definitely not how she pictured their first meeting. She had imagined something much more formal, dignified, not grass stains and accidental tackles. Sensing her discomfort, Hamir decides to play along. With an innocent expression, he says that he's not Hamir at all. His name is Lou, just a guy who likes quiet spots and lazy afternoons. Aristine finds it hard to believe, but before she can press further, she hears someone laughing nearby. She peeks through the bushes and spots Yenneca chatting with a man who also has platinum blonde hair. Turns out it's Belos, Hamir's aide. Yenneca had bumped into him while searching for her brother. Aristine watches the scene from a distance, unable to catch their words, but they seem to get along well. She glances back at the man beside her. Lou looks well-built, relaxed, completely at ease. Not at all like what Tarkin once described. Tarkin had called Hamir a weakling, someone not even worth her time. But the man Yenneca's talking to now, Belos, kind of fits that image. So, with a sudden sense of certainty, Aristine concludes that the man with Yenneca must be Hamir. The real Hamir almost bursts out laughing. He's clearly enjoying how well the act is going. Eventually, Aristine gets up to leave. She politely tells Lou that she only came to warn him about the bird situation, and quietly thanks him for helping her avoid any unnecessary misunderstandings. But just as she's about to walk away, Hamir stops her again. He casually asks if she usually walks around at this hour. When she turns and asks why, he simply says he was wondering if he might see her again. After all, she must feel lonely in a distant country like this. That catches her off guard. Hamir tries to sound casual, suggesting maybe she'd want to make new friends. But Aristine begins to suspect that this guy isn't just some idle servant. The way he speaks to a royal, so confident, almost natural, it doesn't match the role he's pretending to play. She starts putting the pieces together. Maybe he's not a servant. Maybe he's one of Hamir's close aides. Still, Hamir insists there's no hidden agenda. He just wants to get to know her better. But Aristine has heard that line far too many times through her monarch's visions. She recognizes it for what it usually means. With a look of mild annoyance and complete certainty, Aristine accuses him of being a gigolo. Hamir freezes. The first prince of Irugo, closest to the throne, now being mistaken as a gigolo. His face flushes red, his heart skips a beat, and his eyes sparkle like a man hit by a sudden wave of emotions he didn't sign up for. For some reason, he doesn't even hate it. Aristine stands her ground, calmly declaring that she's not interested and that he's definitely picked the wrong woman to mess with. But her serious tone only makes Hamir bite back laughter, his shoulders lightly trembling. Aristine, proud and unbothered, throws in a confident remark. She's too busy making money anyway. The moment she says money, she immediately regrets it. Crap, she thinks. Of all things to mention in front of a suspected gigolo, why would she bring up money? That's basically bait. She had meant to push him away, but now she's worried the guy might cling even harder. In a huff, she tells him to forget what she just said and walks off. But Hamir, clearly intrigued, wonders out loud. Why would a princess need to make money in the first place? That question lingers in Aristine's head. Ever since her scalpels took off, she didn't expect attention from people like him to show up so fast. Maybe she's gotten a bit too confident lately. Okay, maybe a lot confident. But it's not entirely her fault. Everyone keeps praising her. Zodiac's over-the-top support, the rising sales numbers, and the recognition she's earned, it all built up her pride. Who wouldn't get a little smug? Hamir watches her with amusement, eventually bursting into laughter, even wiping away a tear. To him, Aristine is something else. Unexpected, entertaining, and definitely not boring. He then, almost seriously, asks if Tarkin restricts her, financially speaking. Aristine reflexively says no and nearly adds that she runs her own business, but stops herself. She quickly raises a hand to cut him off. She reminds him, she's married, and more importantly, he knows who she is. She throws in that she has a bunny-like husband and adorable fox-like maids waiting for her. At the word bunny, Hamir freezes. His mind scrambles to connect the image of Tarkin. With a bunny? Or maybe a wild hare? Technically not wrong, but still disturbing enough that he has to shake it out of his head. He stares at Aristine, almost impressed. She's clearly something else. He steps closer, this time dropping the flirty act. Calmly, he explains that he's not who she thinks he is, not some guy chasing after money or playing games. He admits he's always been curious about her. Now that he finally gets to talk to her, the curiosity has only grown. He just wants to get to know her, nothing more. And so, he asks, what can he do to earn her trust? Aristine blinks, genuinely taken aback for a second. This man, platinum blonde hair, turquoise eyes, striking features. He looks like someone straight out of a romance novel. If he's really not a gigolo, then why isn't he denying it outright? She watches him closely. He smiles at the strangest times. Never flustered, never defensive. He's either incredibly composed or incredibly good at pretending. Eventually, she tells him, if they part ways here and never cross paths again, then she'll believe what he just said. It's safer that way, she thinks. She knows nothing about him, and getting too close would only be asking for trouble. Hamir, still smiling, reflects on her words. He knows it's impossible. Now that he's back at the palace, their paths are bound to cross again. Not as some flirty stranger and a wary princess, but as Prince Hamir and Princess Aristine, wife of the second prince. He wonders how Aristine will react when that moment comes. Not ready to let her go just yet, Hamir offers her something, a secret about Prince Hamir. Aristine, cool and unreadable, asks if he means Hamir's weakness. Leaning closer, Hamir explains that what people hide often holds power. With a little help from him, she could take an easier path in palace politics. But before he can finish, Aristine cuts him off. She makes it clear. She doesn't back down from challenges. If she wants something, she'll fight for it. But she won't use dirty tricks to defeat her enemies. That's not how she plays. Hamir raises an eyebrow. He thinks she's naive. In politics, there are no clean moves, no clear lines. That's just how it is. But Aristine smiles with full confidence. She's not naive, and she's definitely not stupid. She simply believes in her own strength, enough that she doesn't need tricks to win. The conviction in her words is stronger than anything Hamir has observed so far. He flinches slightly, caught off guard by how real her stance is. He softens, looks down, and apologizes for underestimating her. But Aristine isn't finished. In a colder tone, she warns him. If Prince Hamir ever chooses to use her or Tarkin's weaknesses to his advantage, she won't hold back. If he plays dirty, she'll show him just how low she can go. Not because she can't fight fair, but because she chooses not to, until someone makes her. And right now, the person she's talking about is standing right in front of her. She tells him she doesn't want to hear any secret from someone she can't even identify. She doesn't know who he is, and therefore can't trust a word he says. Hamir snaps his fingers, still smiling, and agrees to her terms. If staying away earns her trust, he'll honor that. He promises not to chase her, not to seek her out again, and not to return to this spot. But just one condition. If they ever meet again by chance, he wants to be friends. That throws Aristine off a little, but she catches herself. This could just be a roundabout way to set up their next encounter. She accuses him of planning a fake coincidence. Hamir just laughs. He insists he's busy. He doesn't have time to stalk anyone. Aristine thinks about it. Friendship. She has so few of those. After a moment, she agrees. Back near the palace, her maids are frantically searching for her, calling her name. They finally find her, relief washing over their faces. Aristine explains she was just out walking and wandered a little too deep into the garden. As she turns back, she glances once more at the path she came from. Her thoughts linger on Lou. If he really isn't a gigolo, then maybe it wouldn't be so bad to be friends. After all, she doesn't have any friends. Not really. Tarkin is her husband and partner, sure. But the closest thing to a friend she has is Mukali. Then again, can you really call your husband's subordinate your friend? Or is she the only one who sees it that way? Her mind spins with questions, worries, and uncertainties. About friendship, about boundaries, about what comes next. And in that quiet moment, Aristine realizes maybe figuring out how to be friends with someone is harder than she thought. At the royal smithy in Tarkin's palace, things are usually hot, loud, and full of flying sparks. But today, something's different. Ritrin, the royal blacksmith working directly under Aristine, has been riding the wave of popularity ever since the launch of Angel's Blade, the name he proudly gave to Aristine's surgical scalpel. Once known as a full-blown troublemaker back in Catalaman, Ritrin's now a rising star in Irugo's blacksmithing world. He's kind of getting used to being admired. Just like Aristine, he's low-key basking in his own success. Not that either of them will say it out loud. When Aristine shows up at the smithy, Ritrin's expression lights up like a puppy spotting its favorite treat. After all, it's thanks to her that he's where he is now. But he notices something off in her face. She looks a bit troubled. Before he can ask, Aristine suddenly blurts out an unexpected question. Would Ritrin be free this weekend to watch a play with her? The whole smithy freezes. Ritrin drops his hammer. Literally. His face turns red, his hands go clammy, and his heartbeat becomes the loudest sound in the room. Aristine asking him to a play? His brain short-circuits. He tells himself not to misunderstand, but his heart clearly doesn't get the memo. Aristine quickly realizes what kind of chaos she's just created and awkwardly tries to take it back. She apologizes, telling him to forget it. But it's too late. Ritrin collapses dramatically to the floor, his poor heart shattered into 1,000 confused pieces. Why did she invite Ritrin in the first place? Because lately she's been feeling off. Like maybe she's just not boss material. Not when she can't even make friends. That sudden insecurity pushed her into making that strange request. As Ritrin lies there on the floor, trying to remember how to breathe, one of the blacksmiths scolds Aristine through teary eyes, saying she was too cruel. Another nods, saying she made all their hearts race, not just Ritrin's. Aristine is mortified. She didn't mean to cause a full-on smithy meltdown. Meanwhile, Ritrin still doesn't understand why he's crying. He knew better than to have expectations. But for a moment, it felt like a sweet dream. Before anyone can emotionally recover, someone bursts in with a report. A big problem. Apparently, their supplier suddenly canceled today's pig iron delivery. Worse, every other supplier is also shutting down, citing zero stock. Panic spreads across the smithy again, this time for a different reason. Aristine's eyes widen. This has to be the Queen's doing. She had expected a smear campaign, maybe some accusations of malpractice. But this? Hoarding raw materials? That's a bold move. The blacksmith explains that the supplier apologized over and over, but they had no choice. The biggest iron mine belongs to Duke Skila, aka the Queen's faction. Ritrin, now back on his feet, looks furious. To him, this feels like a betrayal of principle. Aristine, however, stays calm. She asks about their remaining pig iron stock. The room falls silent. Finally, someone speaks up. They'll run out by tomorrow. Despite the chaos in her mind, Aristine's face remains composed. Meanwhile, the others are close to full-blown panic, worried about deadlines, client orders, and the domino effect of this disruption. Ritrin suggests exposing the Queen's plot, but Aristine, still clear-headed, explains it's pointless. By the time they gather proof, the monopoly will be over and all traces wiped clean. Honestly, it's a clever tactic. Importing iron is out of the question. Iron is classified as war material. If a Sylvanian princess suddenly imports iron, that alone could spark a diplomatic nightmare. Maybe even a war. Not to mention the avalanche of gossip. Even the Queen can't maintain this monopoly for long. It's likely they already agreed on the duration. Maybe 2 weeks. But 2 weeks without production would be devastating. Aristine suddenly speaks up, her voice gentle but firm. She assures them not to worry. She'll find a way. Her expression stays steady, her tone calm. She refuses to show any weakness in front of the people who trust her. All she asks is a little time. Everyone in the smithy is moved. Back in her office, Aristine tries to plan her next move. She knows how fragile trust is in business. A missed delivery could destroy everything she's built. She racks her brain for a solution, but nothing seems solid. Instead, her thoughts spiral into worst-case scenarios. Angry clients, bad press, and reputational ruin. Deep in thought, she doesn't hear the door open at first. Aristine. A voice calls, over and over. She snaps out of it. It's Tarkan, standing next to her. Gaze sharp, face unreadable. She greets him with her usual tone, casually asking if training is over. But Tarkan doesn't dance around. He's already heard about the pig iron crisis. Aristine admits it while quietly tidying her papers. Then, without skipping a beat, Tarkan declares that if that's the case, they won't be releasing any magic crystals to the market either. Aristine looks up, stunned. Tarkan's clearly irritated by the Queen's dirty move and ready to retaliate in kind. But Aristine reaches out, grabbing his sleeve to stop him. Her grip is light, but her voice is firm. This is her business. She can handle it. Tarkin's eyes widen in surprise. He looks annoyed. He reminds her that he's her partner. Aristine hesitates. Her mind's already racing. If Tarkin really pulls back on the magic crystal supply, it would hurt his business too. And that's the last thing she wants. He's been nothing but a reliable partner to her. She wants to return that same support. With a forced smile, she promises not to let this affect him. She apologizes, even though the whole situation isn't her fault. She just doesn't want their trust to crack. Tarkin, confused and slightly frustrated, asks why she's even apologizing. Is she implying he only made the offer for selfish reasons? But Aristine doesn't respond. She just keeps that same tight smile and insists. She'll figure it out. The air in the room shifts. Cold, tense. Aristine thinks she doesn't want to be a burden to Tarkin. Tarkin, on the other hand, can't figure out what's going through her mind. With a frown, he mutters under his breath, "You really are an annoying woman." Those words hit Aristine harder than she expected, like a cold splash of water. Or maybe a brick to the heart. Maybe all they need is honest communication. But right now, both of them are too wrapped up in their own thoughts to say what really matters.